जनरञ्जनाय यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Jaya Jagannath Baladewa Subhadra Jaya Sudarshan Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhams Parivrajakacarya Stotra Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya BPT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrind Ki All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Guru and Gauranga. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नम ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So I'm very happy and honored to be here at Sri Jagannath Mandir, Sheshadripuram, and very happy to be in the midst of all the senior devotees here, whom I know since many years. After a long time, I'm coming back here. So this evening, today and tomorrow, we will discuss a very important theme and a topic from Updeshamrit. In the Updeshamrit, Srila Rupa Goswami has given 6 principles which are favorable for devotional service and 6 principles which are unfavorable for pure devotional service. And Bhaktivinod Thakur in his essays has extensively commented on each of these 6 principles. And among the 6 favorable principles, we will be only discussing in these 2 days, today and tomorrow, the 6th principle, which is called as Sadhu Vritti or Sadhu Vritti. So today we will be discussing only the concept of what is Vritti. Tomorrow we will be discussing what are the Sadhu Vritti of the Grahasthas. And there is also a discussion of what is the Sadhu Vritti of the Renunciates, that is those who are in the Brahmachari, Vanaprastha and the Sannyas ashram. So that is again another 2 class, so we don't have that time. Maybe some other time we will discuss that also. And then there are common occupations both for the Grahasthas and the Renunciates, and that is also one elaborate discussion. So again we don't have time for that. So today and tomorrow we will be only discussing the concept of what is vritti And then what are the duties of those who are the grahasthas? What is the Sadhu Vritti? How we should follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas? What is the occupation the grahasthas have to do? So that will be the discussion. Now I'll be showing a PowerPoint presentation, and please don't click with your mobile the pictures of the PowerPoint presentation. We will share with you. The PowerPoint presentations will be available. We'll share with you. And since this is not an interactive discussion, I usually like to have interactive discussions where I discuss the concept and you have questions, so you can ask questions. That makes the subject interesting, but again, time doesn't permit. So I will be discussing this entire presentation for today's part for 1 hour, and then we will, have a break for the Shayan Darshan Kirtan, and after the Shayan Darshan, we will take up the question and answers. So as we are discussing the subject, if you have any questions, either make a mental note of it or just make a point that this is a question, and then we will take up. Okay. So as I was introducing this topic, Bhaktyaloka is the name of the essay, the title of the book given, and as I was mentioning, there are 12 essays Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote. Atyahara prayasasya prajalpo niyamagra janasangasya laulyam shadbir vaktir vinashyati. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote one article on Atyahar, one article on Prayas, one article on Prajalpa. So like that, 6 articles on these 6 unfavorable items of pure devotional service. And then Utsaha Nishchaya Dhairyat. So each of these he wrote again one articles. And in one sense, each of these articles will require 1 class. But Sadhu Vritti or Sadhu Vritti requires 4 classes, as I mentioned. In that we will be only discussing 2 classes, the concept of Vritti and what are the duties of those who are in the Grahastha ashram. We would like to discuss the other 2 also, that is those are the renounced order, and then the common duties between the Grahasthas and the Renunciates. We will do that, whenever we get another opportunity. Okay, we'll go to the verse now. We'll all recite together this. Utsaha nishchaya dhairyat tat tat karma pravartanat sangatyagat sato vritte shadbir bhaktir prasidati. There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. Utsaha, being enthusiastic. Nishchaya, endeavoring with confidence. Dhairya, being patient. Tat tat karma pravartana, acting according to the regulative principles. Prabhupada in the square bracket says, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. So, acting according to the regulative principles means following the Navvidha Bhakti or the 64 limbs of pure devotional service. Sangatyaga, abandoning the association of non-devotees. And Sato Vritti or Sadhu Vritti, following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. Shadbir Bhakti. Shadbir means the 6 principles, and Bhakti here means pure devotional service. And Prasiddhati. Siddhati means success. Prasiddhati means complete success. So we can imagine Rupa Goswami being a very grave acharya, in just one verse, that is the third verse of Updeshamrit, he is giving us 6 principles. If we follow them, there is undoubtedly, as Prabhupada says, it assures complete success of pure devotional service. So how important it is for us to study these 6 principles in detail. And that is why Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote essays and articles on all these 6 principles, which are favorable and which are unfavorable. Okay, there are 6 qualities that enhance bhakti, and Sadhu Vritti is one. Sadhu Vritti means following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. So I'll just go through the article and I'll just explain what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is trying to explain us or make us understand. And as I mentioned, there are some important concepts which we need to understand, and there we'll try to explain that concepts. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, I have already written separate essays regarding Utsa, Nishchaya, Dhairya, Tat Karma Pravartana and Sangatyag. Now I am writing this essay on Sadhu Vritti. There are 2 kinds of sadhus, householders and renunciates. So during the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, up till the time of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in the Gaudiya Vaishnava line, following the teachings of Mahaprabhu, there were only 2 ashrams, the Grahasthas and the Grahatyagis. The Grahasthas and the Grahatyagis. So that is why Bhaktivinoda Thakur is referring here that there are 2 kinds of sadhus. The Grahasthas, the householders, and the renunciates, the Grahatyagis. Now it is only Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he introduced the Varnashram. He introduced the Varnashram, and within the Varnashram he took what? The sannyas order of life. And then he had the brahmacharis, who were doing the preaching. He opened the Gaudiya Mats. So he introduced this with a very higher purpose. Because Vaishnavism begins when you are situated on the transcendental platform. That means you are on the Paramahamsa stage. So the Goswamis were on that level. And in that line, all were following these teachings of Mahaprabhu. But the teachings of Mahaprabhu got corrupted in the 18th century. And that is why Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to re-establish the pure teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that is why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, thought that nobody is qualified to be on the stage of Paramahamsa and imitate the Paramahamsa stage of Rupa and Sanatana. So he introduced the Varnashram, and within the Varnashram he took the sannyas order of life, although he was a Paramahamsa. So this is very important, and it will come in the discussion now in the article. But now it is suffice to say that during Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time, there was the Grahasthas and the Grahatyagis. So that's why he is referring this. I will separately describe the vritti or occupation of each. Although householders and renunciates have different occupations, there are some they have in common. So he is going to describe the vritti, occupation of each. Vritti, I mentioned that today we will be discussing the concept of vritti. And the grahasthas have different occupation, the renunciates have different occupation, and there are some in common for both. These will be described separately. There are 2 meanings to the word occupation: propensity and lifestyle. Now this requires some explanation. So vritti, he says, there are 2 meanings to this word vritti. One is propensity, another is lifestyle. Propensity means one's nature, or Swabhav. Those natural propensities are the living entities, Dharma. Propensity means one's nature. Propensity means one's nature. Those natural propensities are the living entities, Dharma. Now this also requires little explanation. Now I'll introduce here a term which many devotees I am sure are not familiar. One is called as the Gauna Vritti and other is called as the Mukhya Vritti. So the Mukhya Vritti is the Vritti of the soul. The soul is naturally and spontaneously attracted towards Krishna. That is the Vritti of the soul. Jivara Swarupoi Krishnara Nityadas. So when there is no attraction towards Maya and there is only complete pure attraction towards Krishna. But when we are conditioned by the gross and subtle body, there are impressions in the subtle body. And these impressions are part of our nature, part of our subtle body, Swabhav, which is called as Swabhav. And this is what? The Gauna Vritti. So when Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making this statement, the natural propensities are the living entities Dharma, he is making this statement based on the Mukhya Vritti or the Gauna Vritti? Gauna Vritti. He is making this statement based on the Gauna Vritti. So Brahmana has his Swabhav and then he has his Dharma. He has his Dharma. Kshatriya has his Swabhav and he has also got a Kshatriya Dharma. And Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is telling what is Arjuna's Kshatriya Dharma. Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. So that teaching, which he is giving in the second chapter. So this is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is speaking here. So just summarizing what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying here in the chart, there are two kinds of sadhus, grahasthas and grahatyagis. And there is vritti. Vritti means occupation for householders. And there are two meanings, propensity and lifestyle. And propensity means one's nature or swabhav. Similarly for the renunciates. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur substantiates his statement by giving a scriptural reference. It is said in the Srimad Bhagwatam 7:11-31. Praya sabhava vihito nunam dharmo yuge yuge veda drigbi smrito rajan pretya cha cheha cha sharmakrit. O Rajan, O King, Narad Muni is telling Yudhishthira Maharaj, because in the 7th canto, the first 10 chapters is the Narsimha Prahlad pastime. There also there are vrittis, utis, what vrittis. Extreme cases are discussed. Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu. And then how these vrittis or uti has to be channelized through Varnashram is the whole discussion from chapter 11 to 15 in the 7th canto. So there Narad Muni is instructing Yudhishthira Maharaj, O Rajan, those in the knowledge of the Vedas say that Veda Drigbi Smrita, in every age, Yuga Yuga, an occupation according to one's nature, Dharma Swabhava Vihita, generally brings happiness, Sharma Krit Praya, in this life and after death. So, today there's a big problem that children don't understand what is their propensity, which subject to choose, which occupation to choose, because of the complexities in the nature, of the psychophysical nature of the children, because of, the parents, also because they don't come from the same background, So before it was in the Vedic times, a Brahmana would get married to a Brahmani. And that's why the nature of the child was very clear. Because of the complexities, it becomes very difficult to find out what is the nature, what is the inclination, which field he should choose. So that's why he's saying when we choose according to one's nature, then it brings happiness. I met one Ayurvedic doctor and he told me that he was a software engineer in the 90s. That time, software was very rare. He was in America. He was practically, in the executive post there. And he had come to Banaras for attending a seminar on Ayurveda or some other subjects. And he got attracted to Ayurveda. At the age of 45, he resigned. He went and studied in college Ayurveda and became an Ayurvedic doctor at 50. Because that was his natural inclination and he found out only at that age. So this brings happiness in this life and pritya after death also. Bypassing life in one's natural occupation, one can attain devotional service free from the modes of nature. Please mark the statement of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, how important it is to know our Gauna Vritti. Because only by leading a life according to one's nature, then one can attain Nirguna Bhakti, he is saying. We can attain what? Nirguna Bhakti. We can attain pure devotion. Nirguna Bhakti means Shuddha Bhakti or pure devotion. Otherwise, one will fall into ill religion and be unable to make gradual advancement. So two things are going to happen if you are not following this nature according to your propensity. One is one will do irreligion and he will be unable to make what? Gradual advancement. So the advancement is what? It is gradual. So even that gradual advancement will not happen. It will not happen. Now he goes and gives a quote for this. It is said in the Srimad Bhagwatam, again he is referring to the 7th canto. Vrittya svabhava krittaya vartamana swakarma krit hitva svabhavajam karma shanir nirgunatvam yat. If one acts in his profession according to his nature, svabhava krittaya vrittya, after gradually giving up his actions, shanir karma hitva. So one has to follow his gauna vritti. And while following his gauna vritti, he has to gradually give up that. Gradually give up means you start step by step. First give up the fruits of your actions. As Krishna is telling in the Bhagavad Gita 2.47. Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadach. Slowly you give up. You give up that. Shanir karma hitva. According to his nature. Again, sabhavajam. What is born out of his nature. He attains the state beyond the gunas. So only one who follows like this, he can attain a stage beyond the gunas. Nirgunatam iyat. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur had told in his previous statement what? That by passing life in one's natural occupation, one can attain devotional service free from the modes, nirgun. So now he is giving a proof from the Bhagwatam to substantiate his statement. Nirgunata or the transcendental position means devotion to Krishna. So what is Nirgunata? Nirgunata, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur is mentioning, devotion to Krishna. That means that is where real devotion begins. He is speaking about pure devotion. That is what, here it means. This is Nirgun. Now again, he quotes a statement from the Uddhav Gita to substantiate this statement. Tasma deham imam labdva jnana vijnana sambhavam guna sangam vinidhuya mam bhajantu vichakshana. Therefore, tasmat, having achieved this human form of life, Lavva imam deham, which allows one to develop full knowledge, Jnana Vijnana Sambhavam. Those who are intelligent, Vichakshana, should free themselves from all contamination of the modes of nature. Guna Sangam Vinirduya. Duya means to become free from the contamination and engage exclusively in loving service to me. Mam Bhajantu. So, this is the series of verses which is coming in the Bhagwatam where Krishna is speaking about Bhagavad Dharma. Now, Bhagavad Dharma means it's just execution of pure devotional service. And execution of pure devotional service means executing the 9 limbs of devotional service or the 64 limbs what Rupa Goswami has given in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Now, one very senior devotee told me that if you want to find out how much pure you are, there's a very simple experiment you have to do. Just sit 7 days with yourself and try to only do whatever you like among the Navida Bhakti. Like you like to read Bhagwatam or you like to chant. So try to do only that for 7 days and see how much time you can spend in those 7 days continuously doing that. From that you can understand how much purity you have attained. So the point here is that most of the times our activities are based on what? The Gauna Vritti. Most of the time. And it is only some time of the day we are engaged in the Mukhya Vritti. So here this verse is saying that one has to become first free from the contaminations of the what? The Gauna Vritti. Because that will help you to go to the Mukhya Vritti. I hope this point is clear. It has been ascertained by the Lord's use of the 2 words Nirgunam and Mad Upashayam. These 2 words are used by the Lord in Srimad Bhagwatam 11:25-29, just previous to the quoted verse. So here in this verse there is mentioned that you will attain exclusive loving service to me, and Nirgunatvam is being used word. In the previous verse it is used, and Mad Ashayam or Mad Apashayam means also it is pure devotional service. So that is previous to these 2 verses. There is another verse which Krishna himself is quoting. So 2 verses Krishna is speaking about Nirgun and Mad Upashayam, and both are stating what? They are transcendental or Nirgun. That whatever is performed out of devotion is called Nirgun or transcendental. Now again he quotes the Bhagwatam. The Bhagwatam states, Radhastamascha bijayet sattvam samsevaya muni sattvam cha bijayet yukto nirpekshena shantadhi. He should conquer the modes of passion and ignorance by engaging himself only with the things in the mode of goodness. Thus pacified within his mind, the spirit soul, freed from the modes of nature, gives up the very cause of his conditioned life and attains me. Rajas tamash cha abhijayet. One should conquer the modes of passion and ignorance and engage. Sattva samsevaya muni. He should engage in the modes of goodness, activities in the mode of goodness. And sattvam cha abhijayet yukto. Thus pacified within his mind, freed from the modes of nature, gives up the very cause of his conditioned life. Nirpekshena shantadi. He attains me. He attains me. So now Bhaktivinoda Thakur is quoting this verse to establish a very important point which will come up. Therefore, people can become free from the modes of nature if they pass their lives dovetailing everything sattvic objects, activities, time and place with the devotional service of the Lord. So you know that the state of Nirgun is called as Shuddha Sattva. It is called as Shuddha Sattva. And just below Shuddha Sattva is what? Sattva. And below that is Rajas. And below that is Tamas. So this verse is saying that you should conquer the modes of passion and ignorance. Come to the mode of goodness. And only from the mode of goodness you can go to the mode which is Nirgun. So the point is that you have to come to the mode of goodness. You have to come to the point of goodness, to transcend goodness. Only human beings are eligible for propensities in the mode of goodness, and remaining in that state, they gradually become free from the modes. So it's only human beings who are eligible for the mode of goodness, and you have to remain in that state of goodness and then become free from the modes. Now, Bhaktivinod Thakur gives a list of the propensities of the human beings in the mode of goodness. Very interesting. He gives a list because now we know that you have to come to the mode of goodness. So what are the propensities of human beings in the mode of goodness? Again, that is described in the 7th canto. They are as follows from the Srimad Bhagwatam. Satya, speaking the truth without distortion or deviation. And if you are speaking a lie, remember that is a sin. And if you are sinning, that means what is happening in your sabhava? Piety is increasing or impiety is increasing? Impiety. And that will become an obstacle to your practice of devotion. So this is the first quality he is speaking. Daya, sympathy to everyone suffering. Tapa, austerities such as observing fast at least twice in a month on the day of Ekadasi. Saucha, cleanliness. Bathing regularly at least twice a day, morning and evening, and remembering to chant the holy name of God. Titiksha, toleration.